Great. All right. I'll take it away. And I'm so excited to hear that we have 45 alumni already joining us because I know everyone's very busy during this time. So we're really pleased that you can make the time to join us. Sabaidi, everybody. My name is Sophie Wilkinson. I'm the second secretary at the Australian Embassy in Laos, and I'm responsible for our human resource development program, including our alumni engagement, which is my favorite part of my job. And today's panel discussion is a really exciting one because it's on such a relevant topic. It's about resilient alumni stories, lessons learned through the COVID-19 crisis. And even though restrictions have eased in Laos and people are returning to work, some of you might already be in your offices or working from home at the moment, it's really important for us to reflect on what we've individually and collectively learned. And even though, the health impacts of COVID-19 in Laos have so far been really positive, the social and economic impacts are still continuing. And I think we're going to see those impacts for many years to come into the future. And so it's through this lens that our panelists are going to be discussing their stories today. So this Alumni Covid Connect series was designed in response to the COVID-19 crisis. We all had to get used to new ways of working. We weren't able to come together face-to-face for a while, but we really wanted to continue to support our Australian alumni and provide a platform for ongoing engagement and capacity building and support, because it's one of our most important priorities for Australia here in Laos. And so I'm really glad that we're able to make the most of Zoom and create this new platform so that we could connect with not only our Laos Australia alumni, but also our alumni from the Laos Australia National Scholarships or LANS program, and also our Disability Inclusive Development alumni as well. And I believe we've had almost 180 or more alumni from 12 different provinces across the country attend these webinars to date. And so it's really exciting that we've been able to reach so many of you, even more, I'm sure, than if we'd had face-to-face events. And we've also seen students who are on award in Australia and alumni are living outside of Laos attending these sessions as well. So if we have some of you joining us today, g'day, I hope you're going all right down in Australia. And I'd also like to take this opportunity just to thank the Laos Australia Institute in collaboration with Catalyst Partners, because they've really done a fantastic job leading this initiative. And I'd like to thank them for their commitment to alumni engagement throughout the crisis. Now, I'm really looking forward to hearing from today's panelists, which includes an Australia-ASEAN Emerging Leaders participant, a recipient of the Alumni Innovation Grant, which is another way that the Laos Australia Institute and the Australian government have responded to the COVID-19 pandemic. And also an Australia Award recipient who has recently completed their Masters of International Relations at Sydney Uni and who is currently in Australia awaiting a return to Laos. So I think we can all agree that it's going to be really exciting to hear from these alumni and gain insight into their lived experience throughout this really challenging, unprecedented situation around the world. So whether this is your first time attending one of these webinars or your sixth time, we really hope that you're finding them beneficial for you and your community. And if you haven't already, I'd like to take this chance to encourage everyone to head over to the Australia and Laos Facebook page, where you can learn more about the ways that the Australian government is committed to supporting Laos to recover from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic and continue to develop its stability and prosperity into the future. Okay, I think that's enough for me because we're here to listen to our alumni. So I'm going to hand over to Dr. Gretchen Dobson, today's panel discussion facilitator, to start today's session. Kopjalalai.
Sabadi, Sophie, thank you so much. It's amazing to know that today we are coming together, almost 50 or more than 50 friends of the Australia Awards program globally, across the world. We have friends and guests visiting from Fiji, Vietnam, Cambodia, Myanmar, Papua New Guinea, and we know that there are attendees and members of the Laos Australia alumni community, both in Laos and in Australia joining us today. So as Sophie kindly said, I'm Dr. Gretchen Dobson. I've been working with the team as an alumni advisor and look forward to contributing to the professional development and personal support through the coming weeks as we continue to navigate some challenging times. And I'm here to facilitate a conversation with three very special members of our community. But before we do that, I would like to know a little bit more about who's in the room today. And if you could use the chat bar, please. Tell us your name, your location, okay? And one or two words to describe how you feel in light of the challenges of COVID. For example, I'm Gretchen. I'm in Port Macquarie, New South Wales, and I feel optimistic. We're going to look at the chat and we're going to be able to see who's in the room. We'll give it a moment a bit, and everyone can write in there. If you don't have a chance to chat, it's okay. You may have a chance later on to introduce yourself with a question. How's it going? Yep. Fantastic. Okay. I'm glad people are feeling great. Thanks, everyone. We have from the Capital Territory in Vientiane. Anyone from the regions? Shout out to you. I know there's regional representation in the group. There's so many of you on our webinar series earlier in the last couple of months. Okay. We have a student in Victoria. My family's in Victoria, my in-laws, and it's very hard because we're not able to see them and they're not able to come up to New South Wales. So I know how you feel. It's tough. It's tough. But that's why we're together, to connect here and support each other. Yeah, and you know what? Let's be honest, we're human. Some days we're feeling more frustrated by some of the challenges, whether it's mobility challenges, whether it's just the not being able to advance a project that we're working on because we can't get somewhere, we can't see someone. So that's tough. But we know that we're all coming out of this period right now stronger. I feel much stronger than I did a few months ago. I hope you do too. Yeah. Okay, so please continue to introduce yourself. I will move along just to tell you a little bit more about how we're going to how the next 50 minutes are going to run, right? Our conversation. And what I'd like you to do is, first of all, just take a big deep breath and relax, because we're going to hear some stories. And as if you were listening to your mother or a grandmother or a favorite uncle tell you stories about when they were a child, or when they had their first work experience, or when they moved to a new country, I'm sure that you were listening actively. You were thinking, you were watching them speak, you were thinking about what that must felt like. And we're going to have a chance to do that with our three panelists. Sophie kindly introduced our panelists by talking a little bit about what they're going to be talking about today, about being an award winner or being on award as a student. But I'd first just like to introduce the three panelists by letting you know a little bit more about their backgrounds. We'll first hear from Manoly Sisavanh, and not only is she an alumna of the Australian-ASEAN Emerging Leaders Program, which you might know as A2ELP from last year, she actually holds a professional title of Deputy Country Director of the Wildlife Conservation Society in Laos. But she's a busy woman. She's an entrepreneur. She's also co-founder of Anana, which is a small business, and MeuangXua Embroidery. So multi-talented as well, as we see. We'll be talking with her first, but after Manoly, we're going to meet Souksan Thavikham. And Souksan is currently working with as a program manager with the Ministry of Home Affairs. She, though, has been a recent recipient of the Australian government's Alumni Innovation Grant. So she's an innovator, she's an entrepreneur, and she's a resilient woman who has developed an initiative that is a direct response to the COVID challenges. And it's just one of the very many ways that Australia is supporting people in Laos throughout the crisis. So we're going to hear that story about the innovation and the support she's bringing to the community. And then finally, we're going to meet Thathsaphone, and Thathsaphone's last name is LERTHTHAVONE. He otherwise is known around the world as B, so I'll come back and probably call him B. But Thathsaphone is an honor award student. He's just finishing up his final days of his Master's in International Business. And I'd have to say all graduate programs are challenging, but this has been an especially challenging time for Thathsaphone while he remains in Sydney. So we're going to hear his story, and then we're going to move into an interactive question and answer session. So I know all of you may have a question. Hold that in up here, write it down, and we will hopefully get to it. And I'd have to say that we probably will give you a second chance as well. If we're not able to get to your questions, we'll take records of the questions and who submitted them, if we can do that, and try to continue the conversation on the Facebook page. I've just joined the Facebook page, and I know that I'm going to be an active contributor with all of you. So I look forward to continuing our dialogue offline. So shall we start? I think so. Great. I'd like to first invite Manoly Sisavanh to join me. Again, Manoly, I'd like to know a little bit more about your program in the Wildlife Conservation Society. Now, we all know that managers are aware of team dynamics and the importance of being able to motivate your team. As you've been working as in the Wildlife Conservation Society and also leading your other two companies, you have some challenges. And you have some challenges, probably managerial challenges, as well as there's probably been some great opportunities for you in terms of your business, in terms of the organization to pivot and maybe to be more efficient and better serve your mission. Can you tell us a little bit about what have been the biggest challenges as well as opportunities for you and your organization?
Thank you so much, Dr. Gretchen. That's very comprehensive introduction of me. I really appreciate it. So yeah, as you say, I'm playing quite various roles in life, actually. A full-time job with WCS and then business ventures, and also a mom of two. So, you know, in terms of career-wise, my priority above all else is my service to the Wildlife Conservation Society, which is an international nonprofit conservation organizations working to save wildlife and wild places in Laos through the three priority programs, including the protected area and wetland landscape management, and then the counter wildlife trafficking and the wildlife health programs. So all of this coming together, it's really fit into the context of COVID and how my work and the work of organizations can potentially help preventing the same or similar pandemic like COVID from happening in the future. So because to me, COVID-19, it's understood to start with the virus, the SARS-CoV-2 virus spillover from wildlife hosts to humans, and the biodiversity threats that has been driving such threats from happening. It's because people encroaching forests, clear the forest and poach wildlife from the forest, and that exacerbate the closer connections between wildlife and human. It's working at the front lines, preventing people from poaching the forest, but at the same time also protecting wildlife and their natural habitats. So that's to secure the future of wildlife and all living beings in Laos. And just in terms of biggest challenges, I mean, for me personally, I feel the first big real effect of COVID was starting in mid-March, when I was just came out of the forest, the Namkading protected area in Balikham province. And then when I just came out and I got a text message, as soon as I get connected to the reception, I received an instruction from the office that all staff shall return home immediately. And then we were supposed to have a meeting with villagers the day after, but then it had to cancel. And I and the team have to return to Vientiane that very day. It was very confusing. And on the way, I was wondered what this would mean to WCS staff, because we are very much technical and field people. And we prefer to have our feet on the ground and eyes in the field. But then having to work from home, it's one of the biggest challenge that we have ever faced in our professional career. But then,
absolutely. Sisavanh, that's just to pause for a moment. These were some of the major themes of the COVID Connect series: working from home, remotely, team dynamics, keeping our teams motivated. How did you manage the distance? And how did you support your team, your staff? It's so important, I know, as a manager, to think about the dynamics of working from home, and who had access maybe to, who had data, who didn't have data. So how are you continuing to support your employees as well?
I have to say big thanks to the ICT, information communication technology, that today digitalization world provided, because ICT play a big role in keeping us together. Also, I have introduced new ways of collaboration through all these digital communications. And also I learned this during my time with the A2ELP that's supported by the Australian government, because the theme of my program was about smart city. And then back then I started to realize that digital and technology would become a big part of people, especially those living in the cities, in the starting these decades and especially the coming decades. But then back then I wasn't really sure how it could be implemented in Laos, or how that would be such an important element for community in Laos, because the situations in Laos, everything is still largely, that's become so real. It's like everything we do, we have to rely almost entirely on internet and computer and technology to keep us collaborating. For example, this WhatsApp group, this Zoom virtual meeting, and then it's COVID's really COVID plus technology. It's kind of also allows and forces us to get access to information and collaborate using new ways. And also it really allows continuation of business. So thanks to technology. And I have to approach my team as well to be very receptive to change, and they handling this new normal pretty effectively. And also they were able to adapt to new technology, and moving from paper-based approach to online approach, and also actual face-to-face meeting to virtual meeting. But it also comes with a price, because we have to attend to countless video conferences and to accommodate people from different time zones. So it can be since 8 in the morning until 10, 11 p.m. at night during the lockdown. So it was frustrating, but also very rewarding in terms of allowing myself and my team learning new skills and pick up new approach in terms of introducing effective and more efficient work. For example, our finance team, before they would go to bank, and do some financial transaction. But during this time, during this lockdown, we apply for the iBanking. So everything is paperless, done online, approved online, and
it's now done.
Yeah,
it's now done. It's something you wanted to do. It just took time, right? And then everyone had all this time, right? They weren't commuting to work. They had all this extra time. Hopefully they were all going for extra walks every day. Well, let's move on. Manoly, we will talk more about your small businesses, okay? How they've also been very supportive of local producers and the community. And I invite you to share everything about those the businesses and the opportunities to support you and your efforts on the Facebook page as well. So Facebook page is a place for everyone not to be shy. It's a place to share and celebrate. Okay, we're going to connect, we're going to mobilize, and we're going to celebrate the community. And Facebook is the way we're going to do it. So I'm inviting everyone to just do that. Why don't we move on then? Thank you. Thank you, Manoly.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Souksan, Thavikham, another special lady, another special member of the community. Not only is she working in the Ministry of Home Affairs as a program manager with the National GPAR Committee, but she was the recipient of one of the Australian Alumni Innovation Grants. And I want to move right into the conversation with Souksan about the grant. Souksan, could you tell us more about your innovative ideas and how it responds to COVID-19 and the resulting challenges?
Well, thank you very much for your kind introduction. That is very kind of you. And I would like to say briefly about my innovation project. Actually, also very my honor to be called like an innovation. But this one, I would like to think about the theory that we learned long time ago about the think globally, act locally. I think my project right now is really an example of this, because COVID impact is not only make people sick, but also make people hungry and also poor and poorer. So my project is try to reduce this kind of negative impact to the family, especially the family of people living with disabilities. We know that in this kind of situation, even the general families, they'll suffer, and it's very seriously for them who have the people with disabilities, because a lot of things cannot happen like normal. So my innovation is think how to make them have food and have income. Even the country or the village is locked down, but they still produce the food and income. So I do the data collection and the small survey and let them choose whether they're interesting to have like a mushroom growing, which mushroom is common food in Laos, and they can use it for their own food and also sell easily to the local market or neighbors. And another option is frog or chicken. So our target families are really happy to see this kind of options. So they decide by themselves and they access their capacity based on their resource available, like if they have space or not have space in their house. So they can select what they want to use, the mushroom or to have the chicken, because we use the grant to give them the mushroom or chickens so they can start. And then after that, they can going on by themselves. And we know that like a mushroom, they can pick 5 to 7 months. That means they can have food for during that months. And if they don't want to have too much mushroom, they can exchange with their neighbors. So
you were looking, Souksan, you were looking at the way to kind of scale what would be easy for them to grow. What they can also benefit from for their own, that they can eat themselves, but also grow over a number of months. And you probably had to describe exactly the technicality behind your innovative idea in the application, correct? You probably had to
Yes.
show what you were forecasting. Was that a difficult application? Tell us about, walk us back a couple of steps. Tell us about the application. Was it difficult to fill out? Did it take you a lot of time? And I'm curious, how much is your grant for? How much money have you received to build this program?
Okay, thank you for the question. And the process of the application, I think, is simple. It's only one round selection. And I saw the advertisement of the this grant through email and also Facebook, which I can go and can apply every document and send to the email. I can complete the on document only one day. And also the result is quick. They can announce the result within 1 week, I think. And that's very effective way, because COVID is something we need to act fast. And this is very good example and can help the people. And the amount of the grant is, my budget is less than 3,000 Australian dollar, or about 18 million kip. And those money can go to the communities. As I said, that we can do the first investment for them, and then they can continue.
So, and you applied for the grant, was it in June and you received it in July, or did you apply earlier this year?
I think in June and also June. Yeah.
Yeah. So the turnaround time, as we like to say, was quick as well. So, and the application process, you think, was straightforward. It didn't take you a lot of time, but also you learned the results of the application process fairly soon, because you had important work to do, right?
Yes.
You had important work to do. Is there an example of this impact already that you can share with us? How has it impacted the local community?
Yes, actually, when we have the data collection, we went to a village authority, we went to the household who have the people living with disability, and ask them what they know or don't know about COVID. And thank God that everyone know about the COVID and how to protect themselves. Mm-hmm. And then we asked, do they have any assistance after the COVID or lockdown? They said no. And they really appreciate that our team can went to their house and really look at the location where we can help them and advise them the technical, if they're gonna do the chicken or mushroom. And also they really appreciate. They ask who are you, where are you from? Because never have anyone really go down to talk with the people with disability. And when we go down, we also went with the villagers, the village staff and district staff from the labor and social welfare. So we work as the team from the three parties, and also the association, of course, where is my main partner. And they are really appreciate when we have the training. They are very active to asking questions and really do the work, and really curious when they can start to have that kind of thing. And I think this very make us happy, because they are welcome and appreciate what we try to help them.
I know that you are leading by example, Souksan. It's very inspiring. I think all of us are thinking, wow, we're very proud. I'm sure your colleagues are and everyone listening is very proud of your efforts, and they're happening now. This is an active project right now. I have to admit, you're making me a little hungry, because you're talking about chicken or frog or mushrooms, and they all sound really good right now. But before I can even satisfy my appetite, there's a lot more to cover here in our program. And I'd like to say thank you, Sabadi, Souksan, and we'll come back as a group. We'll be asking some questions of all of us, and we'll have a chance to share more. So our third esteemed guest here is Thathsaphone. And I'm going to go ahead and call you B. May I?
Yeah, sure. Good to see you.
Okay, great. It's good to see you as well. So another theme of our program tonight was about, I think, this notion of persistence. It's one thing to think about challenges, and it's one thing to think about whether we have it in ourselves to get through the day or the week or the month, but what it's like to finish a 2-year program when you're not with family and friends, and all of a sudden the way that you've been managing a very busy, challenging schedule has already been kind of uprooted, and all of a sudden there's a necessary change that you've had to make. And I'd like B to share more about his own perspective and his experience, I think, as a student, and how he pivoted, how he moved, I think, his way of a way of being on an honor award student, and the types of conversations you may have with other honor award students in our community.
Yeah, thank you for the question. And first of all, I would like to thank to let me to be a part of this this bit it was so great. By the way, I would like to share that because everyone has a goal, right? The dream to come to study in Australia, and then when I chose the uni, the course. I thought that okay, I'm gonna be fun with the classmates, the peers in each semester. By the way, and then it went well during the first and the third until the third semester, and then when the COVID outbreak in early of January or March this year, everyone, like including me, the course and the units that we enroll in each semester, they move entirely to the online courses. I want to give an example. Like before we study in the university, right? The units in each week, because we have 13 weeks, we can read or skip some units that overlap to our assignments as well. But when they move entirely online, lecturers and classmates, they require us to post it online, anticipate with friends, post, ask discussion, and enroll in every lectures that they posted, and then lead the seminars or whatever. And at this point, I would like to emphasize that this is a very learning experience. It's new to me because I never had any online experience learning before. So it was great, and then I thought it's going to be like bad, but actually not. We just have a lot of more works to do, post discussions and anticipate with friends. That's quite challenges. And then what I did is I have to adapt my work-life balance schedule. Like before, I spent time, but now when they move it to online, I reduce my life, like schedule, exercising, gathering with friends, meeting with friends, and then focus on what I have to do. I know my duty is that each week, what is the requirements of readings or assignments. So I just follow the schedule, and then I just try to find some time to meet friends and reflect my thinking and understanding with lecturers. So it's then
you really had to plan ahead, didn't you, B? You had to kind of think about your week in ahead or your day in advance, but have a plan.
It is a must because we have to put our every unit's assignments into the calendar, the calendar provided by the uni. You have to make sure that your overlap assignments will not be disrupted by other activities. So you know how much time you have, your capacities. So you just make the right track to the goals of each.
Okay. So, it's one thing I think when we think about COVID and we think about this pandemic, we've all been very grateful about the people in our lives, our family, our friends, our colleagues, the ones that know us well, the ones that we probably are connecting with even more than ever. I know I am. I'm having friends and conversations around the world with friends that it just seems like it's a regular thing now. So we don't have to wait to see each other to catch up. And B, you have family or friends back in Laos. So how often do you connect with them? How has it been to be this far? I can't imagine. My family's in the States, so I know how it's like to have family at a distance.
Sure. I think this point is very important because instead of our physical health, we also have the mental health as well. We want to ensure that they know that we are safe, and we want to know that they are also safe or not. So this is a very important point that drive me through the challenges. when I informed them that I'm okay, and then I was well taken care of by the unit CEO, SCOs and my peers in Australia as well. So once my family knew that I am okay, so I can return to my track and keep focusing on what I have to do and to achieve my goals. So I think when we contact with our family and friends in Laos, they help a lot in terms of mental health. So at this point, I don't think everyone is okay without talking with friends or family members. I think this is a must to do so. And one more thing, I think that not only me or my family that will be struggling, because in uni life, we also have friends here, right? Some people, they need more cares and supports than like normal students. For example, I also have like my friends with disability. So sometimes I send them a message about not only friends and family in Laos. We catch up by video chat or phone calls to help, because we need to reflect our thinking and understanding about the subject contents.
Yes. Sophie, you have, you're finishing your program very soon. And at some point in the not too distant future, I know you'll be reunited with your family, right? Your plans are to spend time in Laos. What will you miss about Sydney? What will you miss about the experience?
Wow, that's a good question though. Sydney is considered as one of the multicultural cities. It's the same as other states of Australia. I think I will miss the most, it will be the public facilities, for example, because this is a very good point, because when I first arrived in Sydney, public transportation like train in Sydney is very new, and sometimes we squeeze, like sit next to each other and just stick it. And then, but when COVID outbreak, pandemic outbreak in Sydney, we learned the new normal. For example, we learned about the social distancing. Everyone start, leaving some space when they take trains and public facilities. It is very, I think it's quite interesting, and
It's called 1.5.
1.5 though, but
actually, it's all 1.5 meters, right?
Yes.
So, and it just means that I think people are just that much more aware about the sense of personal space, and maybe having to plan in advance, make bookings for tables, but also, we're in this together. So sharing that. So. I know that it sounds like your experience, though, has been ultimately positive, and you are an alum of University of Sydney. So there'll be opportunities for you to stay connected with the institution as well as your program here, the Australia Awards program.
Yeah, absolutely. Then my library, my uni library, like feature library, will be the one that I will miss the most.
Oh. And your faculty members would love to hear you say that. Thank you. We're moving right along, and we are on time. So I'd like to invite all of our panelists now to join me in a discussion, and invite our participants, all of us on the call, to start thinking about your questions for Manoly or Dee or Souksan. And you can go deeper into kind of understanding about the work of the Wilderness Society, or it's about learning more about Manoly's MeuangXua, her program, her embroidery company, or B, it's to connect and learn about the University of Sydney, perhaps. And maybe some of you would like to learn more about what it's like to apply for an innovation grant. But I am going to ask the first question, if I may. And I would like each of you to respond. So what advice or technique would you like to provide to the Lao people when it comes to maintaining resilience and turn such challenging times into opportunities? So what is it that one advice that you'd like to tell everyone on the program today, and actually to your community, to to your home community, to your business community? What is it? What is that advice or technique? So it's about, you know, being able to pivot, being able to be resilient. Give us some more of your resilience advice, because we know that it's an uncertain time right now, and what we've all experienced may come back again. We're not sure, but we want to have the tips and techniques to be able to cope. So who would like to go first?
I can go first.
Okay, Manoly, go ahead.
So I would advise everybody to take it once at a time. So just be kind to yourself, and you know, if you have passion, even before, during, or after COVID, just, I think once you have passion, that would be the one that drive you to thick and thin. And just, again, be kind to yourself. If it doesn't work at the first time, take a break, take a deep breath, talk to people in the same circle, or who shared passions, or who shared the same goal with you, and talk to them and try to figure out people who can be resourceful to you, or even be brave by trying new things and step back, look into the situations with analytical thinking, and try to explore some new opportunities. And I'm sure there'll be something out there that a person can grab out of COVID. Either it's a new business idea or a new work opportunity.
Yeah, thank you, Manoly. That's great advice for us all. B or Souksan, would you like to share your advice?
Okay, I can next. Do you hear me?
We do hear you.
Okay.
Go right ahead.
I think as I said that before we don't have COVID, and everyone seemed to be very relaxed and not be prepared. So I think after we have COVID, we have the situation about lockdown. And so I think the lesson learned that we can learn is be prepared, and the opportunity for new skill or new kind of assistance will come. For example, the opportunity from the Australian government to help Laos to go down to the community level, like my innovation. This is the good example of the opportunity. So in any crisis, there is some opportunity, just only that we need to see what is our problem and try to identify problem and the solution we can find it. And I mean, after we know the exact problem, then we can find a good solution. And as I said, that be prepared every, for example, the grant or scholarship opportunity, it come quick and need you to act very quick to apply. So all data, all the idea should be there. So think fast and act fast. That's the lesson learned, I think. Thank you.
Those that don't wait may miss out. Okay. I'd like to ask B to you've already been providing lots of great advice around, you know, probably for students who are on the call, any of your on-award peers. I hope they've learned something already, but what else would you like to recommend?
So sure, I would like to talk on behalf of the student perspective. So first thing I would like to suggest would be like prioritize our studies. And when we know our duties, right, we just keep focus on our studies. What should we do? And then we just follow the instructions provided by the respective government or universities. So when we do this, we have to be responsible for ourselves first, and then be socially responsible as well. Because when we come to uni and then we face some difficulties, you have to find your student contact officers or lecturers or peers to seek special assistance or supports. So with this, I will give an example. Like I experienced that some students as uni, like they behave like selfish students. when they got sneezing or coughing, they still come to uni and use the laptop and keypad computers. So better is just request for the special considerations and ask whether your lecturers can provide other extensions to submit your paper or your assignments. That will help to keep the social safe from the COVID outbreak and maintain your health and well-being as well. Is that you mute, Gretchen?
I'm back.
Yeah, sure.
I'm back. I realize that when you're leading this, you cannot mute yourself, even if you'd like to have a gulp of water. So sorry, folks, I won't do that again. When we were planning our program, which we did, we've met. Our team has met a couple of times in the panels. We all met last week. We thought there would be some questions about the innovation grants, and I see one here. I'd like to thank Nancy for asking the question. She's very keen to know more about the innovation grants. Else that you can share about the innovation grants, Souksan?
Yes, this innovation grant is provided by Australian government, and I know the information through the email of the alumni and also Facebook of the alumni, Australian Alumni Club. And I think for this year, it opened in late of May and already selected is specifically about the COVID, and it opened for all alumni to apply. And also if the criteria there is alumni to apply alone is can get up to $2,000 Australia, and if partner with the association or CSO, it can up to 3,000 Australian dollars. So for my application, I partner with the Facilitator Disabled Association. So we can work as a partner, and that the idea. And I wish that if you have this kind of great innovation grant again late of this year, or maybe the more information I can give to answer more. Thank you.
I think that's. I mean, I'm sure that that opportunity is under review. The idea is that new ideas are spawning. They're spawning. We're coming up with these new ideas as each day, as we look at the challenges, and then we think about those opportunities, and we say, only if we could have this, could we do that. The same thing with technology. Only if we can all connect, all 50, 60 of us right now, can we build a community around the conversation, a community of practice around remaining resilient, which is what we're creating right now. So thank you so much. And I would hope that maybe you can reapply. I'm not sure if that's possible, but I know that you are inspiring several other members here of the community to learn more about the grant. So the question is it open every year? And I guess the point is that we'll have to wait and see, right? Probably just remain, watch for any of the communications. And if you'd like to ask the question of the team, of the staff. And I'm sure that Facebook, as we said, has been the method for communicating everything from social to professional to personal. So let's keep the conversation going there. Would you like to say anything else? Any of the panels? As I've always said when I have an interview, our facilitator panel, I always say you have a second chance, and maybe there's something you'd like to say more about your own experience, your own story. Yes, Souksan, please.
Yes, I would like to add more about the communication. I know that there are a lot of alumni. Even my year, many of them change the email address. I think it's important that if you change the address, then you can inform the alumni engagement team that you can keep in the loop on kind of good activity going on in alumni communities. And like innovation fund or other fund activity or capacity building is on good communication. I mean, we contract or keep informed about your changes, the email address. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I think I'd like to ask then the question of everyone again, another round with this question. How can we turn the challenges during COVID-19 into a new opportunity? A new opportunity for you, a new opportunity for Laos, a new opportunity for your profession. It is more or less our theme, but I know there's more that you'd like to say. So how can you turn the challenges into the opportunities? Even thinking about in your role as a manager or in the workplace?
Yes, if I may, again. And,
okay, so it looks like if, Tony, if you could unmute Manoly and B. There we go.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi.
Let's bring it together. Good.
Okay. Thanks. Maybe Souksan has something to finish first, and then we can take over.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it's if I have to say my last word to turn challenges into opportunity, I would call for the attention of everyone here, and if you can help spread the word that this is really COVID is really a wake-up call for all of us, like all surviving human beings now on Earth, who are able to get through the first wave of COVID. Maybe this is time for all of us to redefine our relationship with nature. We have taken so much from nature, and I think one of the only best way to help all of us preventing pandemic from happening again in the future is to really respect the wildlife and their home, not encroaching, not poaching them too much. And then I think that would be good for the well-being and the survival of all beings on this planet. So that's my last word. And we still have the opportunity as a surviving human beings to make it better. Thanks.
Manoly, I'd like to respond with two thoughts to that. In the time of lockdown or the time of spending time with oneself, I know that many of us have turned to nature as a place where we can be, where we can feel secluded yet connected, and it's provided lots of energy and inspiration for us and hope. And I think we are thinking about how we can reinvest in our environment. And one of the ways that we can do that is help with reducing the carbon emissions and probably rethink our travel and all of that. So I totally agree and really, really appreciate you mentioning that. That's beautiful. Koptai. B, would you like to go next?
Again, from a student perspective, I like to say this on this platform standpoint. I think we can turn challenges, a COVID outbreak, into the opportunities. I would say that I expanded the like homes. I mean, I stay at home all day, all week, and all months, 3 months that I try to read more. First thing, I read more and expand my interested areas of study into the wider and deeper level. Because I experienced that before I studied at the library, my grade is not, there wasn't that what I want. But now, when I do the deeper and wider experiment and research, my grades and of the 4 units went well. I think that this is a opportunity that we can use to emphasize our duties, interests, and our responsibility to the more higher and more productive level. One more thing is, it's not recommended for all students, but I use the opportunity of the COVID outbreak as the claim of the mental health to extend my assignment submission from some lecturers. It is quite the good opportunity to make use of this COVID, because everyone get affected because they stay at home, read all the books and no, like not enough free time to breathe the fresh air, like deep breath, you know. We just like have to walk and cook and learn how to stay like with oneself and make use of it.
Yeah, well, you've shared so much about how you kind of balanced out your schedule, and you weren't able to study unless you were able to give yourself rest as well.
Sure.
And it works both ways. Souksan, would you like to? Is there another opportunity that you see, another little gem that's come out of these challenging times for you?
Yes, thank you. For me, I think that this time it makes Lao people, Lao society come back to their own culture. Like we believe in the family trust. So before everyone to be very busy, working or going out. After work, still have social activity, but then COVID come. It seems that I can see that father, mother, children, they come close to each other. Mother have time to teach the children for education or something like that. And another point that I can happy to see is many family, they come back to an economy. That means they can have their own backyard garden, do something for their own family. That's the great to see it again. I saw it once. I was very young and it forget, and now it come back. And we can see that this is really happy family.
I know.
Another thing I observe is about tourism in Laos. We really happy to see that. Okay, we asking each other, where would you like to go, which province, and where is new tourism sites in another province. That's great to see that, and we show the picture of our own country to promote the tourism inside the country. That's great. Happy to see that from this beautiful town.
You started by saying, you know, think local, act global. I think think global, think local, and acting local is the only way we can go right now. But we're all benefiting from that, right? And we all live in beautiful communities, and it's a way to really appreciate that. I appreciate all of you so much for sharing your stories, and I invite our community to continue the conversation. I'd like to turn it over now to my friend and colleague, Jane Waring-Smith, who's going to provide some closing remarks. Jane?
Thank you. Thank you, Kopchai, everybody. Thank you so much, Thathsaphone and Manoly and Souksan and Gretchen. Thank you for today's incredible discussion. I've really enjoyed listening to it. And we still have more than 55 participants on the line, which just shows how interesting this whole conversation has been. Everyone has wanted to stay for the full hour and hear everybody's stories. So thank you. We really appreciate it. I think as this crisis continues and we keep moving through it, hearing hopeful stories and about opportunities and the way people are becoming resilient is so important. So thank you very much. We can continue this conversation. If anybody does have a question that they would like to ask the panel members, if you are joined to the Laos Australia Alumni Club Facebook page, then please head over there and type your questions in, and we can continue the conversation online. And as Sophie mentioned, also please follow the Australia in Laos Facebook page, and we will continue to post alumni events through the Australia in Laos page. The next alumni activity that we have coming up from the Laos Australia Institute is the Alumni Activity Interest Survey. So this will be a survey that we are going to send out to all of our alumni. This includes our Laos Australian National Alumni, our Disability Inclusive Development Alumni, Laos Australia Alumni. We'd like to spread this survey far and wide so that we can find out more about how we can tailor different events such as this Alumni Covid Connect Series to the wants and the needs of our Laos Australia alumni. So we will be launching that next week sometime, so please keep an eye out through all the social media channels as well as your email and other channels yet to be decided. And if you do receive this, please also share this with your colleagues and your networks of Australian alumni. So thank you once again to all of our panel members. Fantastic conversation. Look forward to continuing that on Facebook. And thank you.
Stay well, everyone.